Hey guys, welcome back. For this video, I thought I'd give you kind of a tour of my plants as an introduction to me, an introduction to my plants, give you a tour, kind of give you the names, not the full scientific names. I don't know all of those, but at least let you know I guess it would be the genus that it's in, whether it's a peperomia, whether it's a monstera, whether it's sansevieria, etc. So give you the names, let you know the lighting situation that I have and how my plants are doing in that. So if the windows are facing north, south, etc. Spoiler alert, in my house, I have mostly north windows, which might not sound great, but actually they work out really well. So we'll get into that. So yeah, the lighting situation, the climate in my house, and yeah, I think that's it. Just to give you an idea of why I buy the plants that I do, which plants do well. Yeah, so let's get into it. So we'll start outside because I put a lot of my succulents outside in the summer, starting in the spring when the weather is definitely warmed up, definitely no chance of frost. Usually that's about end of March-ish. I really got to keep an eye on those temps. I try to make sure the overnight temps are at least in the high 40s, if not 50 consistently. So I put these out all summer. They do great. They love it. They love the extra sun. And then of course I'll bring them back in when the temps start to approach those cooler temps, especially freezing. So all succulents out here. Christmas cactus, she is small, but believe it or not, she is looking a lot more lush these days than she was. She was really struggling for a while, but she's put on a lot of new growth. You can see these little baby kind of purplish new leaves coming out. So I'm really happy with how she's doing. Golem jade, bigger golem jade. This plant, speaking of putting plants out at the right time in the spring, I actually put her out too early. I went out of town, there was a frost, she died. So she was actually about twice the size of this, but the frost kissed all her leaves. I use the word leaves loosely. Kissed all her foliage, all of that died. I had to trim all that off. So she was down to basically the soil, but her roots were still good. So this is like a year and a half of growth. So she's come back with a vengeance. I love this golem jade plant. Regular jade, regular jade, regular jade, regular jade. All of my jade plants come from propagations of a plant that I actually got at IKEA about 13 years ago, 12, 13 years ago. Funny story, I was with a friend. They made fun of me for getting plants at IKEA. They insisted that they would die, but joke's on them. So shout out to IKEA for their plant department. Fairy Castle cactus. This one I got at Trader Joe's. See these kind of main shoots? She had about 4 or 5 of those when I got her, and she was probably about this height. Now, especially leaving her out in the sun over the warmer months, she has all these little bitty shoots. So it's like shoots on shoots on shoots. Speaking of the light, right now, east is this way. So as I'm looking at the camera, that's east. North, of course, would be this way. These plants love this light. It gives them that direct sun, but it's not so or as hot as that western sun. So they get that direct sun, but not too hot, and they do great. As I said, of course, I'll bring these in once the weather starts turning cooler. So let's head inside. A quick break from the tour to give you a correction. So many times in this video, I will refer to this plant. I've got a lot of them. I refer to it as a Peperomia pilea. That's not accurate. Instead, what it is it a Pilea peperomoides. Pilea peperomoides. Put it on the screen there. Peperomoides literally translates to peperomia-like. Apologies for the confusion. I'll note it in the captions every time I say it because I talk about her a lot. I've got a few of these. They're great. like a peperomia, but not a peperomia. Just wanted to make that correction. Now back to the tour. And we'll continue the tour. So coming in from my front door, this is what we call the greenhouse. I don't really know what it was back in the day when this was first built. This is definitely an older house, but you can see I've got these two large sliding glass windows. For each of the rooms, I'll put the square footage of the windows. Maybe that's something you're into, maybe not. It just gives you an idea of the size of windows that I'm working with. Obviously with the doors, you can kind of guess that, but I'll put it down there anyway for useful information. These do face north. As I said, most of the windows in my house face north. That made me a little nervous when I first moved here with my, I don't know, 100 plants. I really wondered how they do, but there's enough real estate that the plants actually do great. North windows, they're the most consistent year round, but you're not getting any direct sunlight from north windows. So consistent light, but it is going to be that indirect light, that softer light. So plants usually, especially tropical plants, like a lot of your house plants are, plants usually aren't going to thrive in that light, probably not going to bloom. They'll probably put out new growth, especially in the summer, the warmer months, but they're probably not going to bloom. I'm still waiting to see how mine do, but it is trending in the right direction. To start, I've got a heartleaf philodendron. This is actually one of my favorite plants. She's very low key, very low maintenance, and that goes for philodendrons in general. They are, I think, an overlooked plant. They just are gorgeous. This one I think is stunning. They're gorgeous, they're low maintenance, they're just consistent. I would recommend those for anyone. Two propagations from that heartleaf philodendron, they definitely need a little water. This is a pothos. This is in water. Got to change this water, but notice how many roots are in here. Part of that is just because I put that pothos in here, kind of forgot about it. That's part of why I love pothos. You can just kind of treat them any way you want, and they are so resilient. So a lot of times I'll propagate pothos in water, forget about it for a while, and then finally, once I do remember them, they have a ton of roots and they just take off when I actually pot them in soil with nutrients. A little closer to the windows, I've got another pothos. I believe this is a golden pothos. And then I've got a peperomia. This is one, I don't remember the full scientific name of it, but I've heard it called a taco plant. It's kind of resembling little tacos, the foliage there. And I actually got it on a Tuesday. Didn't intend to do that, but I got it on a Tuesday, so you know, Taco Tuesday. Sansevieria. These are notorious for being fine in low light conditions. So you can put them in a dark corner and they'll live. But this one was in a dark corner. She was living, she wasn't thriving. Now she's got a lot more light and you can see that bright green new leaf. So doing much better. So Sansevierias, yes, they can tolerate low light, but if you can get them a little more light, especially that indirect light, they'll shine. Monstera, the first of many. All my Monstera plants, I don't know, 10 of them, all of them came from the same plant. It was a very large Monstera that I got in an end of the season closing of a local greenhouse. It was a huge Monstera, gorgeous, $20. It was such a steal. But since then I've got at least 10 propagations from her and they are just so easy. It just ups my plant confidence. This one just had a new leaf come out, and this is why I'm feeling good about these north facing windows. Look at all the fenestrations in these leaves. So brand new leaf, she's feeling good about these lighting conditions, so I am feeling good too. Schefflera, I talked about her in my last video. I chopped her off. She was basically a long stick with a couple leaves at the top. I chopped her off and she is thriving. She's doing so great. Lots of little leaves in that kind of typical Schefflera bush style. That's about 3 months of growth, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon. Moving a little farther into the room, in this little corner here, a bright corner, not the most light, but they're doing pretty well. I've got golden pothos, Schefflera, and Sansevieria. Yes, I've got a lot of the same plants. Again, they work for me. They're tolerant of my bullshit, and I don't have to spend all of my time and all of my money tending to them. So kind of in the last corner here of the greenhouse, I've got Begonia maculata. You can see the polka dots here. So it's called the polka dot plant some. This is one of the plants that's a little bit divergent from the rest of my plants. I used to have a pretty tough time with begonias. I think I'm starting to get the hang of it, and she is certainly stunning. Monstera. This is one I only recently staked. Monsteras, I will advise you to stake them early, just so that you can control the way they grow. They like to climb, so a stake is really good. If you don't stake them, they end up growing like this. So this is an example of an unstaked Monstera. She is thriving, she's doing great, but you'll notice her stem just kind of growing off to the side here. She's just trying to find something to grip onto. Also notice this aerial root. That flat part at the bottom, it's where it met the floor. So it's just trying to find something to grab onto. But look at this new leaf. So let's nerd out a little bit about that. Look at all those fenestrations, so gorgeous. Peperomia pilea, this is my biggest peperomia. This is where a lot of the propagations and other Peperomia pilea plants that I have in the house, this is where it comes from. I recently chopped the main stalk off. You can see right there. That was in my last video. This is doing great, of course, the base. The part I chopped off is also doing pretty well. I gotta get her in some soil. We'll see her when we go to the kitchen. Schefflera, another Monstera. All right, let's move on to the dining room. So the dining room, again, another north-facing window, dimensions down there. A lot of my plants right there on the windowsill. Fortunately, I have very deep windowsills, so I've used up a lot of that real estate for plants, as you can see. One thing about that is that once colder weather does settle in, I'm gonna have to move all these plants. Being that they are tropical plants, they prefer those warmer temperatures, they're not going to like sitting in that windowsill next to that cold glass, especially because these are single pane windows. It's an older house, unfortunately. So I'm gonna have to figure out something to do with those, but definitely don't want those plants sitting against that cold glass come winter. Raphidiodora, she sits in the corner. I don't stake her. She just kind of climbs up the corner. This I got as a clipping from a friend, and she has been doing great. The plant, not my friend. I think she's great too. Shout out to Alicia. This probably needs to be repotted soon, probably before winter, before she goes kind of dormant, but she is a climber. I would need to stake her if I didn't have her propped up against the corner. This is also not a Monstera. Some people call them mini Monsteras. They might be labeled as such in the store. They are pretty easy to care for, like a Monstera, but definitely not a Monstera. So a separate, I guess it would be genus, but not a Monstera, Raphidiodora. Peperomia, this is not a pilea, but she does like to kind of vine out. She probably needs a little water too. She's probably a little limp, but Peperomia. Back to Peperomia pilea. Peperomia pilea. Another philodendron, this time a tiger tooth. So I have the heartleaf philodendron in the greenhouse. This is another philodendron. Again, just like gorgeous. They're just a gorgeous group of plants. So different, or can be so different, but they're just gorgeous and relatively easy to take care of. Hoya compacta, this is a baby one that I got. So you'll see my larger Hoya compacta when we go to my bathroom. But this one I got a couple months ago. She's actually doing really great. It's my life goal to have one of these bloom because they're just fantastic blooms. So I'm still waiting for that. This is where that whole name disclosure that I'm not going to give you all the names really comes in. This one I believe is also a Raphidiodora. It wasn't labeled correctly when I got it. I paid a little more for this than I usually do, but I just thought she was so gorgeous. She did not have these vining leaves when I got her, so she is doing great. Just got another new leaf coming out there. So she's doing really great. I believe, again, a Raphidiodora. So just like the tall one I showed you that's climbing up the corner, same genus there, but I don't know the species of this, so I gotta look that up. I'll get back to you. Peperomia, I believe this is the third kind that I've showed you. Similar care instructions and care needs. That's why I love peperomias. You'll see peperomias a lot. They are everywhere in greenhouses. Prices come down. I remember a few years ago, they were so expensive and everybody's trying to get them. Now, so many people have them. Yeah, they're everywhere, but I mean, it's for a reason. They're so great. They're so easy to care for. They're beautiful. I love them. And then to finish up in here, I'm going to bring you over here. Another Monstera, of course. She's doing great. Here's some relatively new growth that is coming out with a lot of fenestrations, so we love to see it. She is staked, so she'll climb up that. And to round this out, my fiddle. This fiddle, the original fiddle was not doing well. She was very leggy. She had maybe 3 leaves at the top. I cut her off, like way down at the base. I cut her off. So this is from a propagation I did in water. Put her in water, she formed roots. I wasn't sure if she would. She formed roots, and this is the plant from that propagation. So, you know, if you're not sure about something, try to propagate it. It might just work out. She has new leaves. I thought it was just 1. It's actually 2. For some reason, and maybe this is a fiddle thing, you guys can let me know, she puts out 2 leaves at a time. Maybe not right at the same time, but in very quick succession. And then she won't give me any new leaves for like 5 months, but it's like 2 at a time. And, you know, when it happens, it's great. And then she gives us nothing for 5 months. So that's a fiddle for you. I'm going to spin you around 180 degrees and we'll look at my living room. Okay, so living room, pretty sparse plant-wise. That is a south-facing window, which usually south-facing windows we're a big fan of. They get a lot of light. They get more of that direct light, that warmer light. My south-facing window, you can kind of see it. It backs up to the retaining wall of our driveway. And then right behind that, up that hill, it's woods. So really very little sunlight comes in that south-facing window. We get about half an hour to an hour of direct sun in the winter. So she's really not gonna do much for my plants. I've got spider plant right here. Of course, spider plants, they creep me out a little bit when they start putting out their babies, but very easy to take care of, very tolerant of maybe a little neglect. Okay? There in the corner, I've got a couple plants. Those I always forget the name of. I'll put them there on the screen. I do have a grow light with those. So you see the big vertical structure right there between the plants and my TV. That is a grow light. I've recently started experimenting with grow lights. That one's the first. I resisted grow lights for quite a while. I just kind of thought, you know what, whatever windows, whatever light situation I have with my windows, whatever plants worked with that, you know, those were the plants that were meant for me. But now, especially with not knowing how the north lights were going to work with having these guys, I wanted to experiment with a grow light. So I got one. Right now, I'm inconsistent in using it. I haven't set the timer. I tried to once and it didn't work out so well. I need to try again, yes. But I'll let you know how that goes. Right now, I'm not sure if the grow light is really making any difference. It'll probably make more of a difference in the winter, but yeah, I'll keep you posted on that, how that goes. I'm just kind of getting into my grow light era. Let's go down the hall. I'll do a quick glance in a couple of the bedrooms, but they don't have a lot of light, so there's not gonna be a lot to show you. So bedroom number one, that is a south-facing window, but again, we've got the retaining wall, we've got the woods behind. I've only got one little Sansevieria in there. She's actually doing pretty well, but you know, typical Sansevieria. All right, I'll spin you around 180 degrees. We'll go in my bathroom. I am lucky enough, I feel very lucky, to have a window in my bathroom. If you have a skylight in your bathroom, then you are like elite level lucky. So, oh, damn it. I've got a peperomia. This is a smaller cutting or a propagation of one of the ones I showed you in my dining room. I just dropped this. I can't believe it didn't break. This is a heartleaf philodendron prop that now I need to put more water in. I cannot believe that didn't break. Another heartleaf philodendron prop. This one is doing pretty good with the roots. And then to finish it off, I've got my big Hoya compacta. She is, oh, she's looking so beautiful. She gave me no growth for the first like 2.5, 3 years I had her. I swear it was like two little nubbin vines. Now she's starting to shoot off tons of vines. Again, north facing light. I forgot to mention that. North facing light in the bathroom. Again, all my windows are north facing. Okay. But yeah, Hoya compacta, doing great. Really hoping I get some blooms. Probably next year at this point. All right, let's head down the hall to the kitchen. On this tour, I do want to make a stop at my thermostat. You'll notice, you probably can see it, maybe if I can focus. Right now my thermostat is at 70. I think that's actually even because it's off, because the weather is nice outside. I actually prefer it a little cooler. Mid 60s is, but lower at night. I prefer it kind of like low 60s, especially for sleeping. That is about the bottom limit for a lot of these plants. You think about, you know, if you go to Hawaii, Costa Rica, Mexico, places that are much warmer and more humid than my house, the plants thrive there. You know, they're just in a ditch thriving. Part of the reason why I choose the plants that I do is because they tolerate maybe kind of these lower temperatures. Ones like ferns, I think even calatheas, they don't like those kind of cooler temperatures. So that's also something to think about when you get plants. It's also another reason why I have some of the plants that I do. I have a friend who also has a lot of plants, and I go over to her house. She definitely keeps her house a little more warm than I do. I think it's like mid 70s. Her plants are thriving, and I'm convinced part of the reason is because of the temperature she keeps her house at. So let's finish up this tour in the kitchen. All right, so here in the kitchen, again, another north-facing window, single pane, so I'll have to get all those plants off the windowsill come winter, but for now, they are loving that light. Peperomia, I think this is the fourth kind that I've showed you. She has not been staked properly by me, so she's starting to curve. It's not a bad thing, but it's just, you know, my OCD kicks in. Pothos Neon, I actually just trimmed her yesterday, got a few props off of that. Again, pothos are just so easy. Some people might think they're too basic. I love them. They, again, boost my confidence, and they look so pretty. Peperomia pilea, again, off that same plant. And then I think I've also got a little heartleaf philodendron prop in here that is starting to go. Another peperomia, I forget the name of this one. Let me know in the comments if you guys know it. But again, another peperomia, I think we're on the 5th type of peperomia. This one I got a few months ago. She needs to be trimmed up and probably actually needs a bigger pot pretty soon. I'll probably do that before the cold weather hits. But I think she's just gorgeous. Typical peperomia. Another peperomia prop. These guys are getting some pretty good roots. I should get those in a pot pretty soon. And then a little baby Sansevieria, a curly one this time. She was in a darker corner for a while, so she was struggling a bit, but You can see some of those fresh new green leaves. I can't point because I've got my hands full, but you know, typical Sansevieria, thriving no matter what. Begonia. So another great reason to love begonias is just all the different, just they look so different. There's so many different types of begonias. I think I need to get her in a different pot. This one doesn't, it's got a drainage hole, but it really holds moisture, and I think it's due to the shape. So I think I need to get her in a better pot that, that just dries out a little better, so she's not sitting with soggy feet for too long. But I love her, baby Sansevieria. I always forget the name of this plant, which is a travesty because look how well she's doing. She is thriving. Before I lived here in my previous house, which I moved from 3-4 months ago, she was in an east-facing window. So she got direct light. She was actually doing really great. I thought she was thriving then, but now in this north-facing window, she is just thriving on a whole nother level. She gets really thirsty. I probably need to put her in a bigger pot, but gorgeous. A couple chive plants because, you know, flavor and food. A couple props that are sitting in actually a west window. I'll move you around. So west window, I think that is the only west window that I have in the whole house. Begonia, not doing so well, kind of a woody stem, but I'm gonna keep trying. And then this is that Raphidiodora that I wasn't quite sure of the name in my dining room. She is developing, whoops, some gorgeous plump roots. So I'll probably get her in a pot pretty soon. And to finish this up, the Peperomia pilea that I chopped off the main plant. So propagating her in water, she's just about ready to plant. Taking her out of the water, you can see what I'm working with. So the whole stem was like this. All these little babies have since grown since it's been propagating in water. A lot of nice roots. So I'll probably get those in their own pots here pretty soon. But look at all those little babies. So cute. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what questions you have, and I'll see you soon.